When you hear the name Cristiano Ronaldo, you instantly think of greatness, discipline, and a winning mentality that very few players in football history have ever reached. But recently, something has started to raise serious questions among fans and critics, and it's not about his goals, not about his performance, but about what's happening behind the scenes inside the team, where things are not always as perfect as they look from the outside because reports, reactions, and small moments caught on camera have started to build a bigger picture, a picture that suggests there might be tension, pressure, and even discomfort among teammates when it comes to playing alongside Ronaldo. And this is where the story gets interesting, because playing with a superstar like Ronaldo is not normal. It comes with a different level of expectation, a different level of intensity, and not every player is able to handle that kind of environment, because Ronaldo doesn't just play the game, he lives it at a level where every pass matters, every mistake matters, and every moment on the pitch is taken seriously. And while that mindset is exactly what made him one of the greatest players of all time, it can also create situations where others feel pressure, especially when results are not going the team's way. And that's exactly what people started noticing recently: small reactions during matches, moments where Ronaldo showed visible frustration, gestures toward teammates after missed chances, and situations where his body language spoke louder than words. And while some fans see this as passion, others are starting to question whether this intensity might be creating a gap inside the team, because football is not just about individual greatness, it's about chemistry, understanding, and trust. And when one player demands perfection at every second, it can either push the team forward or create pressure that becomes difficult to manage. And according to discussions around the team, there have been moments where Ronaldo's reactions inside the dressing room have been strong, direct, and emotional, not necessarily negative, but intense enough to make an impact, because he doesn't stay silent when things go wrong. He speaks, he reacts, and he demands more. And while that is what leaders do, it also depends on how the team receives it, because not every player responds the same way to pressure. Some get motivated, some feel uncomfortable, and this is where the balance becomes important. And this situation has created two different opinions among fans and analysts. One side believes that Ronaldo's presence is exactly what the team needs: someone who refuses to accept average performances, someone who brings a winning mentality into every game, someone who pushes others beyond their limits, while the other side believes that too much intensity from a single player can sometimes create tension, especially when results are not consistent, because constant pressure can affect confidence, and confidence is one of the most important things in football. And when players start second-guessing themselves, performances can drop even more, and this creates a cycle that becomes difficult to break. But here's the because: when you operate at that level for so long, you naturally become a different kind of competitor, someone who doesn't just play the game but tries to control every detail of it, and that can be difficult for others to fully understand, unless they share the same mentality, because for Ronaldo, this is not just about talent or moments of brilliance, this is about a complete lifestyle built around excellence, where every small habit, every training session, every recovery routine, and every decision off the pitch is aligned with one goal, and that is to win. And when someone lives like that for years, it stops being a choice and becomes who they are. And that's why expecting him to suddenly relax or lower his expectations is unrealistic, because that would mean going against everything that made him reach the top in the first place. And this is where the gap often appears between him and others, not necessarily in skill, but in mindset, in discipline, in how much they are willing to sacrifice. Because while most players are satisfied after achieving success, Ronaldo continues to chase more as if he has nothing. And that relentless hunger can inspire a team, but it can also expose those who are not operating at the same level. And that's where tension can begin to build, not because of ego, but because of difference in standards. And in modern football, where dressing rooms are filled with different personalities, cultures, and levels of experience, managing that kind of intensity becomes a challenge on its own, because not every player responds to pressure in the same way. Some thrive under it while others struggle to find their rhythm. And when the expectations are constantly high, the margin for error becomes very small, which can create both growth and discomfort at the same time. And this is something we've seen throughout Ronaldo's career, whether it was pushing teammates harder in training, demanding better positioning during matches, or reacting emotionally when things didn't go as planned. These moments are not random. They are part of a bigger pattern that reflects how deeply invested he is in winning. And while some may interpret it as frustration or negativity, others see it as leadership in its rawest form, a refusal to accept mediocrity, a mindset that forces everyone to either rise or be left behind. And historically, the most successful teams are often built around players like that, individuals who set the tone and refuse to compromise. But those teams also had strong structures, experienced managers, and players who understood how to channel that energy in a positive way. And that balance is crucial because without it, intensity can turn into pressure, and pressure without direction can affect performance. And this brings us back to the current situation, where the conversation should not be limited to Ronaldo alone, but expanded to the entire system around him: the tactics, the leadership, the chemistry within the squad, and the collective mindset of the team, because football is never about one player no matter how great they are, it's always about how well everything connects. And when that connection is strong, a player like Ronaldo becomes unstoppable, not just individually but as part of a powerful unit. But when that connection is missing, even the greatest mentality can look out of place, and that's why these discussions continue, because people are trying to understand whether the issue is the intensity itself or the environment that surrounds it. And the truth is, it's usually a combination of both, because greatness always comes with a certain level of demand, and not everyone is prepared for it. But at the same time, even the greatest players need the right support system to fully express their abilities. And as long as Ronaldo continues to play, this dynamic will always exist: the balance between inspiration and pressure, between leadership and expectation. And that's what makes his presence so unique, because he doesn't just influence the game with his performance, he changes the psychological level of the entire team. And that impact goes far beyond goals and statistics. It shapes how players think, how they train, and how they approach competition. And whether people see it as positive or negative often depends on the results, because in football, success has a way of justifying intensity, while failure tends to amplify criticism. But one thing that cannot be denied is consistency, and Ronaldo's mindset has remained consistent through every phase of his career, through victories, defeats, different leagues, different teammates, and different challenges. And that consistency is the foundation of his legacy, because in a sport where many rise and fall, maintaining that level of focus and determination for so long is extremely rare. And it's exactly why he continues to be a central figure in every discussion, not just because of what he does, but because of what he represents: a standard that is difficult to match, a mentality that refuses to fade, and a career that continues to challenge the limits of what is possible in modern football. Greatness is not always comfortable, it's not always easy to be around, and it doesn't always look perfect, but it produces results. And now the team is at a point where they have to decide how to respond to this, whether to embrace that intensity and rise with it, or struggle under the pressure it creates. And this is where the next few matches become very important, because they will show whether this situation turns into a problem or becomes the moment that transforms the entire team. And maybe, just maybe, this tension is not a weakness at all, but a sign that something bigger is building, something that could either break the team apart or bring them closer together. And in the middle of it all stands Cristiano Ronaldo, still demanding, still pushing, and still chasing perfection like he always has.